the woman you loved was dying and you were the reason? What if saving her meant destroying everything she was? This is the story of a dragon king who loved a human woman so completely, so absolutely, that his love began to kill her. And he had a choice: let her go or change her forever. He chose to change her. And every single day, as he watched her forget who she used to be, he told himself it was love. Her name was Isidora, and his name was Kael. And 3 months ago, he made the most unforgivable decision of his immortal life. You need to understand what 1,000 years does to a dragon. It doesn't make them wise, it makes them certain. Certain that they have seen everything worth seeing. Certain that nothing new exists beneath the sky. Certain that loneliness is simply the price of surviving longer than everyone else. Kael had ruled for 970 years.
He had watched human kings rise and fall like seasons. He had watched mountains crumble. He had watched entire bloodlines vanish from history. Nothing surprised him anymore. Then he walked into a human king's court, and he saw her. Isidora wasn't the most beautiful woman in the room. She stood near a window with her arms crossed, watching the nobles argue with an expression that suggested she had already figured out exactly what everyone wanted and found it disappointing. She looked like someone impossible to impress. Kael had never seen anything so extraordinary. Something cracked open inside him. Curiosity. And for a dragon, curiosity is where obsession begins.
Kael knew the truth from the very beginning. A dragon cannot bind himself to a human without consequence. The bond changes them. Human bodies were never meant to carry dragon magic. The transformation begins the moment vows are spoken. He knew this, and he decided not to tell her. Not yet. He told himself she deserved to choose him without fear influencing her decision. He told himself he would explain everything later, but the truth was simpler.
He was afraid that one human woman would look at him and say no. So he stayed silent. He courted her, made her laugh, earned her trust, watched her slowly fall in love. And when she finally agreed to marry him, when she looked at him with complete faith, he felt two things: the greatest happiness of his life and the first true shame.
The first scale appeared 14 days after the wedding, a single shimmer of blue silver on her collarbone. Kael saw it before she did. His heart broke. Not because the transformation had begun, because she looked so peaceful, so completely herself. And he knew she would not remain that way. 3 days later came the first forgotten memory.
Isidora couldn't remember the name of a horse she had adored as a child. She laughed and blamed exhaustion. Kael laughed too. Then he walked outside and was sick behind the palace walls. The scales spread slowly across her shoulders, and the memories began disappearing with them. First names, then stories, then entire pieces of her past. One evening she stopped in front of a portrait in the palace corridor. A young girl, 2 smiling parents. She stared at it. Then she turned to Kael. Who are they? They were her parents. She studied his expression, understood the answer. Neither of them spoke.
She simply walked away. And Kael realized silence could be crueler than any argument. She discovered the truth in the eastern mountains, not because he confessed, because she found him. And there, she finally saw what he really was. Ancient, massive, a creature older than kingdoms, a dragon. She didn't run, she didn't scream, she simply stared. Then he shifted back into human form. You knew, she said. You knew this would happen. He said nothing. You knew I was changing. Still silence. Her voice cracked. You knew I was forgetting things. Kael lowered his eyes. You knew pieces of me were disappearing. There was no defense, no explanation, no excuse. Finally, he spoke. I knew, and I chose you anyway. She looked at him for a very long time. Then she asked a question he had never prepared for. Do you love me? Of course. She shook her head. No. Tears filled her eyes. Do you love me? She touched one of the scales spreading across her neck. Or do you love what I'm becoming? For the first time in nearly 1,000 years, Kael had no answer. The transformation could not be stopped. Weeks became months. Every morning, Isidora woke stronger, more powerful, more dragon than human. And every morning, she remembered a little less. She forgot childhood friends. She forgot favorite books. She forgot songs her mother used to sing. One night, she forgot the day they met. Kael lay awake until sunrise, because that memory was sacred to him, and it had vanished from her forever. Then, winter came, and with it, the final loss. There was no warning, no dramatic magic, no thunder, no prophecy, just a quiet morning. Kael sat beside her bed as he always did. Isidora opened her eyes, looked at him, and smiled politely. The smile belonged to a stranger. I'm sorry, she said. Have we met? For 970 years, Kael had survived everything the world could invent. Wars, betrayals, massacres, the deaths of friends, the collapse of kingdoms. Nothing had ever hurt. Not like that. Because she remembered the kingdom. She remembered dragons. She remembered magic. She remembered her own name. But she no longer remembered him. The one memory he wanted most desperately to keep. Gone. For weeks he continued visiting her. Every day. As a stranger. He never missed one. Then one afternoon, she laughed at something he said. A small laugh. Bright and sharp. Exactly the same as the laugh he had heard beside that throne room window months ago. The same laugh that had ruined his carefully ordered life. You look sad, she said. He smiled. You just sounded familiar. He loved the woman who remembered him, and he loved the woman who forgot him. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the Dragon King finally understood something no immortal creature ever wants to learn. Love is not proven by holding on. Sometimes it is proven by staying after you've already been forgotten. The most dangerous love isn't the kind that destroys you. It's the kind that changes you so completely that even after losing everything, you choose it again.